now I know what it's like to coach in Florida in March, so I've got that off my bucket list. Weather was great, obviously, today, but what I really liked today was the enthusiasm that we had. You know, you go into your third year, and you try to balance continuity with change. You know, because it's important that continuity is part of what you do, but change brings sometimes, an energy and enthusiasm. Now, certainly you don't want full change, because that brings sometimes other issues that I don't want to get into. But the fact of the matter is, going into year 3, you want to find that your guys are excited about the opportunity to go out there and compete. And I think that's for me very important to see today, that we had a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. We had veterans that looked like veterans, and we had young guys that looked like young guys. And that's okay, that's good. But now it's our job over the next 14 practices and then our preseason is to let that come together. In other words, that the young guys and the old guys start to look as one, and we put a team together. So in day 1 of spring, great effort, great enthusiasm. Veterans look like veterans, young guys look like young guys, and now we're off and running, where we now can start to build our football team and get everybody, looking the same. All of the things that you want to know about relative to positions. We saw our quarterbacks compete today. All 4 of them got an opportunity. We got to see our wide receivers out there competing. Corners, so we got a chance to have a good evaluation. So when we sit down today at 11:30 and start watching film, we'll be able to start making assessments of where we can get our players as we move closer to the next stage, and that next stage being, the in-season. So those were my observations for today. I'll open it up to any questions that you have.
Going back to Detroit Nicholas,
yeah.
How far does he have to go, and what are important steps he needs to take in order to actually be able to compete a couple of months from now?
Well, the first thing that we want him to do is be an inline blocker for us. And we want to be able to run the ball effectively, and Troy's got to be able to be a very good piece of that blocking up front for us. So we didn't put him in there just because he's 6'7" and he can get a matchup. That's part of it, but we've got an athletic tight end in Tyler Eifert. What we were looking for is a bigger body guy that can be a great inline blocker, but also give us that size element. So the first thing for us will be getting him lined up, understanding the offense, and then making sure at the point of attack, he's a guy that we could count on in the blocking game.
Brent, Harrison Smith was a leader and a voice for you in the secondary. Do you expect that from Jamoris? And is that his personality? Does he fit that role well?
Yeah, I would say that when you're taking names for guys that are leaders within your program, Jamoris is at the top of the list. And he's on our Unity Council. He's been elected to our Unity Council, which is a body within our program that our players look towards for leadership. So it's clear that he has that. As you know, he plays with a great deal of emotion and enthusiasm. So, I think he can check the boxes on a guy that can come in and give us what Harrison gave us from a leadership standpoint.
Captain candidate?
Oh, no question. No question that he would fit all of that criteria.
Going off that, just how do you see the maturity level with everything that's gone on this past week with Jamoris, and what's it say about Kyle should be able to handle everything he's handling right now?
Yeah, I think that he's probably in for a lot of things that he has no idea either. You know what I mean? And sometimes ignorance is bliss. We're happy for him. We're happy for obviously his girlfriend, and it's our players really like Jamoris, and they were tweeting about it, and the new baby and all that. But Jamoris is a very focused young man, and his focus is on his degree, on Notre Dame football, and certainly his family. And he doesn't do a lot of well, he's a pretty good rapper too, I'll give him that. But that's his focus. So that's just fine with me.
Did you start recruiting Santana yet?
Yeah, I was just talking to, because we hadn't seen him, you know, because he wasn't here. So that was the first time I got a chance to talk to him. So, you know, of course I know Santana also is a great guitarist, and he had no idea what I was talking about. So I felt as old as I look.
Anybody stick out to you today? Wow, that kid got a lot better since the last time I saw him. Maybe with quarterbacks a lot better.
Yeah, you know, I would say that, you know, the guy that made some catches was Daniels today. You know, he showed up. You know, it's the first day. You know, I'm not ready to anoint him as the next, you know, Michael Floyd. He's got a long way to go. But, you know, he's, as I said to you guys yesterday, he's extremely athletic. And so we're looking for his ability to translate that. And I saw that a little bit today. Now, as we get deeper into film today, he'll probably have run the wrong route and made a great catch, you know, something like that. But he stood out to me. You know, I think in one-on-one, you know, I thought that, you know, our corners came up and were pretty aggressive in man-to-man coverage because we played all cover 0 today. So it was good to see. We wanted to see those guys track the ball. So those were a couple of things. But again, I'll have to watch the film this afternoon because I focus so much on the little things with our quarterbacks, and we've got so much work to do there.
How much of a hybrid will Theo be in terms of, especially with Coach Alford working with the running backs and the slot receivers? Will he be used? Yeah,
Al, I would say that you're right on. He, you know, if we're using the definition of hybrid, meaning that he's a running back and a wide receiver all in one, that's what he is. And I think you saw that against Stanford. I think you saw that, you know, any time that we started to get into where we wanted to go with him late in the season, he's certainly that. And that's a great advantage. You know, it really is.
What's different or the same between him and Sierra in terms of their style, the way, things you get from them?
Just that Theo's more accomplished as a wide receiver because he's done it. I think if I had made the decision 2 years ago that we were going to play Sierra Wood at wide receiver, we may be having the same conversation about him. But we're having it about Theo, so I think it's more about him having that opportunity at wide receiver. And he had that innate ability to be a running back anyway. So he's truly a hybrid player for us, and that's a great advantage because both of those guys can be on the field at the same time.
No, I was meaning like you had Jonas, kind of the opposite as Sierra last year.
Yeah.
And how are they similar?
Oh yeah, I would say we don't have the big bruising physical guy. You know, those guys have to run between the tackles. There's no question about that. They can't be shying away from that. But Jonas Gray, I think, is a different animal when it comes to 600-pound squat and, you know, 500-pound bench. You know, that's a different cat no matter where I've been. You don't find many guys like Jonas Gray. So both those guys are tough enough to run inside and outside. And then you've got a bigger back in George Atkinson. And I think that's where the difference is.
Brian, assuming that Troy develops into that inline guy and Coy can give you that inline production, what does that enable you to do with Tyler? You know, maybe play him as a receiver almost more than a tight end.
Yeah, well, you know, I think if you look at some of the models that are out there, New England, you know, Patriots, for example, you know, utilization of Gronkowski and Hernandez, you know, we see, you know, Tyler Moore as a Hernandez kind of player, you know, and I think we know what the Patriots did. They had him in the backfield running plays. Tyler Eifert has that ability to be moved all over the field. He can be to the wide field, to the short field. It just gives us more flexibility. Informationally now, we can really keep you off balance. Because we could have 2 tight ends on the field at all times and line up in a power formation, but be in 5 wides because of the versatility. So he just gives us great versatility. And I don't want to just say it's Troy. It's Ben and it's Alex and it's, you know, all those guys have a chance to give us that versatility.
Getting back to Theo a little bit, you poured so much into trying to get him to be a slot receiver the last couple of years. What does he get out of that, you know, in this hybrid position? Or is there a certain amount of starting over, or how do you see the benefits in the last 2 years?
I really, and I'm not trying to be coy about it, I think everybody knows from the comments that I've made that he can do both. He can play running back and he can play wide receiver. I think the rest now becomes tactical advantages that we have in terms of where we place him on the field. We really get some great matchup opportunities with a guy that, look, we're not going to spend all spring on him picking up the linebacker that's blitzing in the B gap. So you can see where we're going with him. You know, we're going to get him out, and it's going to create great matchups for us.
Gunner seemed like he fit in just with the drills we saw.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a very talented young man. He wasn't rated that way because he was not. He's extremely talented, and he has something that the other 3 quarterbacks don't have. That's 6'4". You know, you know, when you've got that size, it allows you to see some things. And so, you know, for him, it's just understanding the language right now. You know, that's a bit overwhelming for him. But when we can get him comfortable, he's got all the tools. Now it's just going to be how much can he learn, you know, to get him to the point where he can really be in there. And look, he's asking about what time is film study. We're like, listen, we're in a 20-hour rule, you know, so everything's voluntary. He goes, oh, I'll be here. So you can tell early on, this is a guy that's going to spend the time on watching film and doing those things necessary.
Yeah, and Everett's feet, I mean, he just seems so quick when he's running the drills.
He's got quick feet. He's got a strong arm. He's got all the tools. Now, for me, it's about accuracy, you know, getting the ball out on time, and obviously, you know, having good football intelligence. And those are the areas that he'll continue to work on, because there's no question about his footwork. There's no questioning his arm strength. We've got to continue to work on those other 3 areas.
Brian, how fast can you get Troy up to speed, and what do you do to kind of help him get there?
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example. I've never called out the routes. I've always been a concept guy. So let's just say the formation is trips right. We'd call trips right pizza. Pizza meant that's the concept. Now we're calling trips right wide drag. You know what I mean? So we're putting in the actual verbiage, quite like an NFL team would when they get a chance to talk to the quarterback. They're saying, you know, Z drive, X go, Y, you know, divot. And we're doing a little bit of that to help and move along the process for everybody.
Anything else?
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.